InSpirit is a nonprofit organization that was formed in 1987, very specifically to help finance the attendant care needs of quadriplegics, to facilitate them living in their own homes.
Activated is misspelled.
Currently, InSpirit provides monthly grants to 22 quadriplegics. That's at an average of about $500 a month. We also provide emergency assistance to other people. You'd be surprised how many people get paraplegics and quadriplegics mixed up, and there's a world of difference. We work with quadriplegics, people who are paralyzed in both their upper and lower extremities, and people who need help with most all activities of daily living, like dressing, bowel and bladder care, transfers, eating, things like that. The assistance that's available through the county for attendant care for quadriplegics is very inadequate. The county pays $5.75 an hour for a maximum of 9 hours a day, and for a quadriplegic who may need round-the-clock care, that's just not going to make it. So with InSpirit, what we do is provide grants directly to individuals for them to supplement their attendant care. They can supplement the hourly wage, they can add on more hours. We really leave that to them, and they are responsible for hiring and maintaining their own attendants.
Hi, Laura.
How are you?
Looks wonderful.
Well, thank you. My husband's been working so hard.
Yeah.
Do you know about the Home Care Consortium
No.
that's forming? I've been somewhat involved with that in the last year or two, and it is a voluntary organization of...
I found out about InSpirit through Marin Home Care. One of the nurses had told me about it, and we were just so strapped financially with trying to buy all the equipment I needed. Ready? Mm-hmm. To stay at home and to have the help you need you just have to pull teeth to be able to do that. And I just feel so lucky between InSpirit and my husband and, just everybody that makes it possible to stay at home. But it is the attendant care that is the most expensive part of staying at home. InSpirit has been very helpful in networking and to provide equipment if you need equipment. They've been just terrific in helping me find things that I've needed. It's really been good in so many different ways. Any way that, I need help, Aneice has been there for me.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Wizard.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Let us know of your choice. We network with other disability organizations, trying to stay abreast of current information about legislative changes. And we do address the issue in a larger sense as well, trying to improve the benefits through in-home supportive services, through legislative advocacy, and through public relations, newspaper articles, things like that, trying to make people aware of what is lacking in terms of services for quadriplegics. 4920.
Aneice would be considered or classified
as a disabled person, she's the most enabled person that I know.
And let's see, we need to do a thank you letter to...
There's almost nothing that she can't handle. Once she is in a place where she desires to be, she functions pretty much at 100%, whereas I think most of us function between maybe 50 and on a good day 90%.
Try them again.
Okay.
Yeah. I became a quadriplegic in 1982 when I was injured in a mudslide that destroyed our house, and my neck was broken. I was in the hospital about 6 months and came home to the building of a new home for us that the community was very involved with. I discovered quite quickly how much attendant care is needed and how great the shortfall is in services that are available, and struggled with that for a few years. And I was determined not to go to a convalescent home. You know, I definitely wanted to be in my own home to raise my children. And it seemed that the only way that more assistance could become available is through a nonprofit corporation. And I was meeting people in my situation and much worse, and formed InSpirit specifically to address that issue. Well, the first couple of years, it really takes to just get adjusted to physically what it's about. And you're still really on kind of emergency recovery at that stage, at least for a couple of years. Then, shall I get it? Good afternoon, InSpirit.
Hi, Aneice, it's Stephen.
Hi, Stephen.
Can I come out and work?
Sure.
All right, see you in a minute.
Will it be a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just pretty much on my way, if it's all right.
If you could wait maybe like half hour, that'd be perfect.
All right, Aneice.
Thank you. Bye-bye. How's this? Okay. Then, of course, in my life, and I would imagine, and most people who become disabled, there is just a whole range of other issues that come up with family and children and all of that.
Want to sit in grandmother's lap for a minute?
I'm going to show you.
Me too.
I'm so glad you came down.
I know, it's neat. There's a really nice contingency for Petrolia.
That's great.
And is this your grand?
This is my granddaughter, Carly.
And your brother?
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Then I very much reached a stage, and in fact, it's funny, it's the stage I was at before I was injured, where I needed work that I was really very much involved with, and that's what InSpirit has given me. I mean, I feel totally dedicated to it, and I never worry about what I did before I was injured. What am I supposed to be doing? What am I going to do with myself? It doesn't enter my mind. There are still times, though, where I just so long to do things with my hands. That, for me, was the big one. It was like, so I can't walk. Of course, that's tragic for anyone. But the loss of using your hands, I mean, I really long for that sometimes. Just the simplest things, washing dishes, pulling weeds. I really miss that, yeah.
Next one's well, that's one way to see it all being used.
just the process of getting up can take hours. When I get up in the morning, we start by doing a catheterization, which is to drain the urine. We do a bowel program, which takes about probably an hour or so, hour and a half. We do range of motion, where every joint in my body has to be moved. We do trach care, which is cleaning my trach. Then all the things that anyone else would do, brush your teeth, wash your face, take a shower, get dressed. By this time, it's at least noon. It takes that long. And then I get up in my chair and start my work day.
He's not supposed to come by and visit every time. Oh, I bet I forgot to lock the wheels.
That's nothing.
That's true. I always forget to lock the wheels. Let me lock them real quick.
It used to be much more frustrating for me, and I would just be watching the clock and seeing how I could do things so much faster, and I've learned to relax in it some. And my attendants are generally my closest friends as well. So there's a lot of really important interaction that goes on during that time. But that was quite an adjustment. But I'm very, very fortunate to have that kind of care, because the majority of people don't get it. You know, in some ways, I'm quite spoiled is the word I wanted that comes to mind, because, you know, these things are only possible to really feel and enjoy when your very basic necessities are met. And for many people, they're not. I mean, just meeting their very basic needs. Who's going to feed them their next meal? That sort of thing is a constant struggle. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. You want to get to where you can see, and we'll do some clothes adjustments?
Sure. I've been fortunate to have so much support, you know, from friends and family. And it's really true that, I mean, I don't think of myself as greatly limited. In some ways I do, but my world is so rich, really. And InSpirit brings me a tremendous amount.
I'll meet you in the office?
Yeah.
Tug open. Good girl, tug more. Wizard, tug more. Wizard, tug more. Good girl. Good tug. Go through.
I think that we should try to get some of that money, that $6,000 that she's saying this is available, because number one, we need it.
finding money to pay for a live-in attendant, and keeping them, it's very difficult to have the same attendant for any length of time. That was driving me to desperation, mainly because of lack of funding. So the purpose of InSpirit is to supplement the funds that we have to our attendants and to our good attendants, and pay them enough that they'll stay a while.
You know, it's always been really kind of unclear. Lee Gilman does.
Attendants are the lifeblood of anybody in a wheelchair. So I would say it's changed my life more than anything else to get and keep good attendants. I've observed in many of my friends that do not have good attendant care, that they end up in a nursing home and usually don't last very long in a nursing home.
Was that at our last board?
That was at the last board meeting. Hale has told me that he will definitely, that InSpirit will be one of the organizations. In addition to the individual clients that we provide money to each month, we serve many, many other people as well. We network with other organizations on available equipment. We provide emergency grants. We do referrals. We do a lot of peer counseling. I spend many hours a week on the phone to clients. So you spent 4 days in bed because there was nobody to get you up?
Hi, Aneice. How are you?
Hi. And we also brought you these pads for the bed. And I forget exactly what they're called, but they're supposed to be a very, very good one to keep from getting pressure sores.
I was suicidal for about 9 months, and then I snapped out of it and said I had a second chance to live, and I wanted to see why. And I wanted to make the most of it. And if I couldn't get all of my use back, I wanted to learn to work with what I have. And that's what I've been doing over the last 4.5 years. I felt sorry for myself for a long time until I realized how much more I had in use of terms of my disablement. You know, I mean, anybody that can use their chin and be that great, you know, keeps you motivated. InSpirit, yeah, it's given me the motivation and the gumption not to give up.
Is Sherry Novick in?
No, she's not. Would you like the voicemail?
Yes, thanks. Hi, Sherry. This is Aneice Taylor. I was just checking in with you to see if you had any word yet on whether HCFA has approved AB 668. And sometimes the political work can be kind of tiresome and feel never-ending, but it's really necessary for activists and advocates to stay in touch, to stay involved.
6 members have to have attendant care.
Sure, but there's...
Sometimes change can just be so slow, and it comes with such incremental steps, but you have to just keep pushing forward.
The discussion of this subject is in the Congress. It is in the Subcommittee on Labor, Health, Human Services, and Education.
Something that I certainly would have never understood before I was disabled was the camaraderie that develops among people with disabilities, because there is such a bond and there's a lot of humor that comes out of sharing disabilities. This work with InSpirit has brought me in touch with so many different interesting, fascinating, strong, and struggling people
people like Charles, who is an investigative reporter, who is continuing his work.
If one's disabled, one doesn't know how much prejudice there is, or where it lies, or what you're really dealing with.
Caregivers, more than any other element in a person with a disability's life, are essential to their health, quality of life, and independence.
His muscles don't move, don't work. If we didn't do the range of motion exercises every day, his tendons would ossify. For him, it's just, if you stay too much in one position, you start aching. So it's good for him to move his limbs. For most of us able people, like if you have a little sore there, it's no big deal. It's going to go away. But with Charles, everything is big deal. And everything has to be monitored and watched. And nothing can be overlooked. And if it does, it can have really, really painful consequences. Anything is potentially very, very harmful for him. Most of the time with people, the physical handicap gets in the way, and that's all they see. I mean, everybody has something to give. It's up to you, actually, the caretaker, to look for what you want to find in that person. More? I mean, I started working with Charles and ended up falling in love with him, and then we got married.
Most of our support comes from grants, from foundations. We also do a lot of community fundraising events. But it is an ongoing, full-time job, and we're constantly looking for sources of support.
We had our bake sale again at the Cultural Center at Christmas. Did really, really well again.
Caregivers of quadriplegics, and I've been doing this with Jeff for the 39 years of his life, you don't put the person to bed. You don't put the patient, the quad, to bed and say good night, shut the light off, and go have your 8 hours of sleep. It doesn't work that way. It's a 24-hour care. This is the amount of time that I spend taking care of my son. It's not a depressing job for me because he's a very special person. He's very bright and very charming and very wonderful company. And I've learned a lot about life. We don't sweat the small things. We just enjoy life every day that we have it. And that's a gift. There is no alternative for Jeff. If he were in an institution, he wouldn't be living now. Because in that type of a situation, you can't expect the personal care that a parent or a husband or a wife or an attendant can give. And we've seen it happen where they don't survive.
Although our preference is to help people stay in their homes, occasionally it just isn't possible for someone who doesn't have enough of a support system. And so in those instances, we try to provide some private attendant care time for special projects or outings, and we do what we can.
Hi, Patricia. It's Aneice and Wizard. Wizard. It's Patricia.
InSpirit. Some help from heaven, and I'm so glad Aneice found me.
Unfortunately, the bureaucracy is geared toward institutionalization, which is nonsensical and tragic. It costs more than home care, and most people with disabilities consider it a death sentence, not only physically, but psychically and emotionally.
I like to work in the red will draw away from it, I think.
I feel so blessed to be able to roll down the street, talk to my neighbors, go to the post office. For me, living at home has made a world of difference. Being able to be with my family and friends and part of the community. There's so many times that the community has come and filled needs of mine, and I feel secure living in a community where my neighbors know me and are able to help me out, and hopefully I can help them out. We all need each other, all of us, whether we're disabled or not. It's a world of difference from living in an institution.
Not done quite yet.
I always felt that I would never regret having experienced this, at least to some degree. It would be wonderful, of course, to get to not be this way, but life is pretty big, and there's a lot of different ways to be.